Good morning. I am here this morning with our state emergency management officials to warn Kentucky families about the Arctic front that will be bringing in severely cold air starting Thursday night with dangerously cold conditions that will reach as low as -26 with wind chill in some parts of Kentucky. This dangerous cold will extend through Christmas Day. Let's bring up our first slide. We want to make sure everyone is aware of these frigid temperatures and has time to prepare and to make plans to stay safe and warm over the Christmas holiday. Current projections expect that temperatures will not warm above freezing until at least Monday. This front will first enter western Kentucky tomorrow, Thursday afternoon, with rain transitioning to snow. This will lead to dangerous road conditions. If traveling, please plan to arrive by mid-Thursday. Again, if you are traveling for Christmas in this area, make sure you get to your ultimate destination by mid-Thursday. Let's go to the next one. This is going to be dangerous. Total snow accumulations could reach 2 to 4 inches Thursday night within the watch area, but then wind gusts will get as high as 40 to 50 miles an hour, and then dangerous cold conditions Friday into Saturday make wind chills reach -10 to -26. I mean, look at that. We'll show you the east in a minute, but you're looking at midnight on Friday being -15 or colder everywhere from western Kentucky up to Louisville and the Bowling Green area, and then getting even colder as you approach towards 6 a.m. Temperatures, again, will not be above freezing until Monday or Tuesday. Let's go to the next one. As temperatures drop rapidly Thursday night, minor accumulations of snow and wet and icy roadways will affect travel. While the confidence in snow amounts right now is low, in other words, they don't have a high confidence on how much we will get, the confidence in travel impacts that our roads will be dangerous is high. Let's go to the next one. This gives an idea of the timing of when we'll start to see these dangerous conditions. Again, if you make sure that if you are traveling, that you are to your destination midday on Thursday, you ought to be safe. Then you'll hear from everybody up here after me after midday Thursday. Do not travel unless you have to. Unless you're an essential employee, traveling will be very difficult on Friday and certainly late Thursday night as well. One of our biggest concerns is a flash freeze. That's when the temperatures drop very, very, very quickly, and any rain or snow that is there turns to ice. And with our temperatures, it's going to be very difficult to thaw that ice. Let's quickly show the Eastern Kentucky piece. We're going to talk about this as we move through Eastern Kentucky, where we've got a lot of people that are sheltered either in travel trailers or other areas, is also going to get very cold. We're going to talk about different steps that we are going to take, but you're looking at -10 to -20 throughout that region, which can cause frostbite very quickly, as it can across the rest of the state. Snow totals will change as we move closer and hopefully get more and more accurate forecasts. Our next update will be at the Team Kentucky update tomorrow. So to respond, yesterday my administration requested every county designate at least one warming center. I know that county judges, mayors, emergency management in counties are publishing and promoting those centers. We'd ask our partners in the media to make sure we get that information out. We also ask Kentuckians to have a plan in place first, know where your warming center is. Second, I'd make sure you have gas in the car to where you can reach it if you need. Have a backup heat source in place and make a vehicle kit. Secretary Gray will talk about that, but that's blankets, chargers, flashlight, things that you need if you have to travel to that warming center, perhaps getting stuck on the road, needing what you need to stay warm until we can come and get you. And finally, we have the transportation cabinet with road crews on the ground as we plan to respond through the holiday weekend. But given these temperatures, that's not enough. So to help us prepare and further prepare to respond, I'm declaring a state of emergency in anticipation of this Arctic front. This action allows us to have all the state resources needed, available, and ready to go. The Kentucky National Guard, as well as the Kentucky Emergency Operations Center, are ready. The Guard is pre-positioning assets to assist in rescues. You're going to hear from our Adjutant General here in a minute. We've also spoken with county officials, again, to make sure those warming centers are getting open. Today, I'm also signing an executive order to protect Kentuckians from price gouging, to make sure that shovels, ice, and other necessary supplies to get through this are not increased in price in ways that harm Kentuckians. Think about gasoline, food, and household items. This order implements the state price gouging laws, and Kentuckians are encouraged to report it by contacting the Office of Attorney General or visit ag.ky.gov/price gouging. Today, we're also announcing that our Kentucky State Parks are prepared to offer emergency assistance to those impacted by weather. 17 state parks located across the Commonwealth will serve as backup warming centers for those without power. We ask that people first try to go to your county warming center. If you cannot, our state parks will be open to help. The parks are listed on the screen here. For families in Eastern Kentucky in travel trailers, you'll hear from Colonel Slinker that we are taking significant steps to ensure their safety. The parks at Jenny Wiley and Buckhorn will also be available for them if they lose power, water, or have any other issues. Again, we're going to walk through all of that. For park updates and closures, visit parks.ky.gov. Now I'm going to sign the state of emergency and then the price gouging executive order. So first, we have the state of emergency. And then we have our price gouging prohibition. All right. In just a minute, you're going to hear from Kentucky Emergency Management Director Jeremy Slinker. Immediately after him, Transportation Secretary Jim Gray and Kentucky State Police Commissioner P.J. Burnett, and then Major General Hal Lamberton. But let me just close my remarks by saying this is going to be really dangerous. This is really, really cold. You need to stay inside and hunker down, hopefully with your family for the Christmas holiday. From Thursday, definitely through Saturday, going in to Christmas Day. After tornadoes and floods, pandemics, multiple ice storms, just these last 3 years, I don't want to lose one person to this Arctic front that is coming through. As opposed to some of those instances, we have time, and you have time to prepare, time to know that you need to be weather aware, time to put together that vehicle kit, time to ensure that you have a plan for what happens if your power goes out. And we have time to position assets across the state to be ready to respond. We've been through too many natural disasters. We've been through too much, and we've lost far too many people. So everybody, let's be prepared for this, and let's make sure every single individual gets through it. Final piece of that, start making your list of people you need to check on. You know, whether you're it's seniors or housing insecure. Think about the people around you that you'll need to make those calls every so often to see they're okay. And this should be our families. This should be our houses of worship. This should be businesses, medical clinics, and others that work with seniors or others. Make that list. And what better way to take just a minute or two in the Christmas season than looking out for other people, living out our faith and our values. I'll turn it over to Director Slinker.
Thank you, Governor. Welcome. Good morning, everyone, and I appreciate the opportunity to be here to talk about, as the Governor said, preparedness. That's what we have an opportunity to do today and tomorrow and on into the evening, depending on what part of the state you're in. So when you're given that opportunity, like we have in this case, let's take that opportunity and prepare for what is coming. And let's talk about a few things that you can do before the weather gets here. Again, that is probably the only thing that's positive is we do have advanced warning. And the first part of being prepared is to be aware. And that's what we've done. We've shared the weather predictions. Everyone is watching their local news, listening to the radio, monitoring social media. So we're well aware of all the different weather predictions are out there and your particular region as well. And as we started this week discussing preparedness from the state response and our state partners and how we're going to come together and solve these, you know, Governor called to ensure that we were taking those steps to be prepared. And so we encourage everyone to monitor your social media accounts at your local, state, and federal levels. That's the National Weather Service, your local emergency management office, the Kentucky Emergency Management Office, Kentucky Transportation, and Kentucky State Police, the National Guard, and the ones behind us. We're all sharing tips about how to be safe. And we'll continue to do that. Again, the safety kit in your car has been mentioned. You know, winter weather in the past has taught us that sometimes the busy thoroughfares in interstates, such as around the holiday season, can get backed up quickly, and you may be sitting out there for a while. So have that kit in your car so you're ready and to have a snack or a drink of water until some of our team can get out and get that road clear and get you going. Our goal is to not have that, but be prepared for it. Another really important thing for me to discuss is the heater and carbon monoxide and generator safety. Every year when severe weather comes up, we have people are required to use alternate heating sources. They lose power and they activate their generators and use whatever they could take to stay warm. But remember, carbon monoxide comes along with that. And it's odorless and colorless, and it's hard to detect. So if you can get you a carbon monoxide detector, be aware of its effects. If you start feeling ill, get away from the source, get out, and most of all, call 911 because it can be deadly. Again, and some of those alternate sources also have flames, and there's fire hazards. So if you're required to use one, use precaution. Think about it first. Think about its placement. Think about what's around it. Could pets knock it over? And what is fueling it? Those are all important things to remember when you're doing that. And generators, they are outside. Generators are not to be put inside. And I can't emphasize that enough. Is a lot of time in these events, some of our biggest tragedies don't come from the snow or ice, but come from tragedies like we're just discussing there. So please allow me to emphasize that as much as possible to use safety when using those alternate sources of power or heat. Home preparedness, go around your house, find the things that maybe you've put off because we've had some seasonably warm weather, undo water hoses, check on your heater at this time, and do any maintenance you may do to it. Make sure things are unplugged, it should be, or things that could be torn down are stored away properly as well. Get your house ready. That's part of your preparedness as well. I'll talk now about some of our state partner coordination that we've had. We mentioned that you can get stuck out on the interstate or even one of the other roadways or parkways that we have. The Transportation Cabinet, the Kentucky State Police, Kentucky National Guard, Kentucky Fish and Wildlife have been in deep discussions about those areas that have historically caused these issues and how we are, as described by the governor, maneuvering assets and resources around to particularly target and be ready for those areas. And we'll have those rally points and staging areas where if they start becoming issues, that our resources can deploy to that and meet up as a team. And before it becomes too bad, we can start taking action then and keep the roadways clear as we can. We continue to meet with our other state partners like the Energy Environment Cabinet and to discuss water and power and the things that are going on there. Our travel trailers in the state parks and our other sites that we have around the state. As you know, we have around 278 families in travel trailers, and then some more in hotels and a few more in state parks. Travel trailers being the concern, we're dealing with some Arctic temperatures, subarctic temperatures that we don't deal with normally here in Kentucky. So we're watching how do those travel trailers respond to this extreme cold weather. But we took some significant actions to make sure they're safe. One, making sure we added larger propane tanks instead of the ones that normally come with travel trailers. So we moved to the 100-gallon tanks, making sure they're full by tonight and Friday, making sure that everyone is topped off and they have plenty of propane. There'll be periodic checks on the travel trailer sites to ensure everyone's safe, or if anybody needs any assistance to be there. We're handing out flyers that has emergency information such as warming centers and phone numbers if they have maintenance issues with their travel trailer. We asked our maintenance contract, which our partners at KYTC has maintenance crews that go out and work on those. We're asking them to go out and re-winterize. We've already done that for the winter, but we've asked them to think about how cold we're getting and go out and recheck those to make sure they're winterized to a point that they can withstand what we're getting ready to face as well. And so again, we also have the state parks on notice, and we'll have that list of warming centers that if we have an issue in any of these sites, and we're both in East and West Kentucky, that we're having issues, we also have transportation and evacuation plans for those sites to move to somewhere safe. So we're very active and focused on taking care of our folks that we're taking care of right now. I'll kind of end with two things. Take care of yourself. Those temperatures are low enough that frostbite and hypothermia can happen very quickly. So dress warm, dress in layers, keep skin covered because it won't take long, like I said, to have some of those conditions. And lastly, I'll mention that my team was sure that I would, and including my wife and daughter, remember your pets. We all have pets and animals at home. This can be tragic and dangerous for them as well. So bring them inside or ensure they have somewhere out of that cold wind they can live out this storm and be safe as well. And with that, be prepared, be safe. Know that the Emergency Operations Center will go under an activation soon, and we'll be staffed and we'll be monitoring this and solving the problems that we face. Thank you. Secretary Gray, Transportation Cabinet.
Thanks, Director Slinker. And, the governor said it well earlier that this Arctic front that's approaching is dangerous. And there's no exaggeration in that. I will tell you that from the Transportation Cabinet's point of view, especially our Department of Highways, it may be a surprise to some that preparation and planning for winter events just like this actually began months ago. And I want to take you through, and Scotty, if you can give me a slide or two, there's so much planning involved, so much equipment preparation, the ordering of stockpiling and of supplies, the training of our plow drivers. the contracting for independent plow operators to supplement our state forces. In just a minute, I'll get to this slide, but we have a force of almost 2,000 frontline employees, plus some, as this slide suggests, as this slide tells us, plus some 1,365 plow trucks that we are capable of deploying throughout the Commonwealth. Remember that every county in the state has a transportation maintenance facility and employees, and they are positioned just for events like this. We also have, in addition to our state employees, we have private contractors with their equipment that's available. We stockpiled more than 300,000 tons of salt and more than 1 million gallons each of brine for anti-icing, and more than 1 million gallons of calcium chloride, an additive for salt for de-icing. Now, let me talk briefly about how we use these materials. The calcium chloride is added to salt to increase the salt's effectiveness in extreme cold, because salt by itself is effective only down to about 20 degrees. Brine water is a pre-treatment. It is spread on the roadway before it snows to reduce the bonding of snow with the pavement and to make it easier for plow blades to scrape the snow away later. However, important however here, in many of our highway districts this week, we will not be able to pre-treat because the rain that's expected, the precipitation that's expected, will begin tomorrow. As it turns to a wintry mix, that rain can turn to a wintry mix and finally to snow, and rain would just wash away the brine. So as the governor said just a bit ago, this winter storm, this Arctic front, by all indications, presents significant potential hazards. Don't get complacent when you hear that the expected snowfall might be fairly light. And why is that? Well, a combination of light, powdery snow and wind gusts of up to 40 to 50 miles an hour can quickly create whiteout conditions on the highway. And many of you have experienced this. I can tell you that I have. You can be driving along and suddenly all traces of the roadway just disappear. So that means being alert at all times. Buckle up, as we say in transportation, buckle up and phone down. Reduce your speed. Give yourself plenty of time to reach that destination if you have to go. And remember that bridges and overpasses will freeze before roadways. Reschedule your travel to avoid driving when the conditions are at their worst, as we expect them to be Thursday night, Friday, through Saturday, and arguably into Christmas Day itself, because as the governor said, it's not expected to get back to freezing or above until the first of the week. High winds will also increase the risk of fallen trees and downed power lines. Our Department of Highways, our Transportation Cabinet crews carry chainsaws for that very purpose. They're prepared to help clear storm debris out of the roadways. Safe roads take everyone's cooperation. And that's why you've heard it repeatedly from the governor, from Director Slinker already. You'll hear it from others. We are urging everyone to stay weather alert by monitoring the weather forecasts and avoiding travel. We also have a website, and Scotty, if you can put that up. The website is snowky.ky.gov. It's loaded with information and resources for winter driving. Take a few minutes to check it. And also check traffic on navigational apps like Waze or on our website at goky.ky.gov. Now, earlier, the governor mentioned the precautions associated with traveling. If it's essential, pack an emergency kit in your vehicle. Make sure you have items you need for survival if you become stranded. Items like water, snacks, a flashlight, and spare batteries. Something warm, of course, such as a thermal blanket, jumper cables, a cell phone charger, a first aid kit. So now I'll turn it over to Kentucky State Police Commissioner P.J. Burnett, who will share with us what the KSP is planning and how they are preparing. Thank you, Commissioner.
Thanks, Secretary Gray. Good morning. Kentucky State Police prides itself in providing public safety to all Kentuckians. Now, with this approaching storm, we want to provide information that is very beneficial to our motorists in these hazardous winter conditions on our roadways, because this is going to be changing rapidly. First and foremost, our best advice is to please stay home and avoid any unnecessary travel. Before the storm arrives, go ahead, obtain food, water, and necessary medications where you can weather the storm. But we understand that there will be instances where someone is required to travel on our roadways. So if that occurs, there's a possibility you could be involved in a collision, or your vehicle could become inoperable. KSP and our partners and other emergency personnel will be ready and available to respond, but depending on the weather conditions, roadway conditions, roadway closures, and calls for service, response times could be delayed. Just please be patient with us. We will be there. But I would like to recommend some tips that if you do have to travel. We've already mentioned about having a safety pack in your vehicle that's already been mentioned. We highly recommend that at KSP. Also, please leave early for your destination. You will need much more travel time, and go ahead and expect delays, especially with the weather conditions that we're expecting. Reduce your speed in these wintry conditions. And as always, wear your seatbelt. Avoid using your vehicle's cruise control. And also, here's very important, increase your distance if you're driving on our roadways in between vehicles. The ability to stop is significantly affected on snow-covered or icy roadways. Black ice, very dangerous on our roadways. Clear all windows on your vehicle before you travel. Having proper visibility can reduce your chances of being involved in a collision or running off the roadway. Ensure that you have windshield washer fluid that is full in your vehicle, and use an anti-ice solution. Turn on your vehicle's headlights, because if we have this blowing snow that we're expecting on the roadways, you need all the visibility that you can have to see you with an approaching vehicle. As mentioned, use cautions on our bridges and overpasses, as they are very prone to freezing before our roadways. Ensure your vehicle has a full tank of gas in the event you are stranded for an extended period of time. One of the things that was mentioned is about carbon monoxide. Same way if you're in a vehicle. If your vehicle becomes inoperable, you're stuck on a roadway, make sure that the exhaust pipe on your vehicle is not obstructed, where it can leak carbon monoxide back in your vehicle. If it's running, try to crack your window to let some of that out as well. Do not go to sleep. Stay moving around until we can have help to respond to you. Dress warmly and keep a blanket in the vehicle. Keep a blanket in there for each occupant that could be in your vehicle. And please, please use extra caution when you observe emergency vehicles and personnel near the roadways that are helping a stranded motorist. They're there on the side of the roadway. They're trying to pull out a vehicle. They're trying to help a stranded motorist. Just be very cognizant of your speed and make sure that they have the proper room to be able to conduct their duties. But in addition to these reminders, these roadway reminders, we ask citizens, please refrain from dialing 911 to ask for weather or roadway conditions. We need to ensure that these lines stay open for emergency, potential life-saving calls that someone may request in one of our 911 centers for assistance. KSP will continue to use Facebook, Twitter, and our website to share winter updates. Before travel, drivers are encouraged to check road and weather conditions by visiting Kentucky's Transportation Cabinet online traffic weather portal that Secretary Gray mentioned. KSP we will increase our patrols where we'll be looking for stranded motorists on especially our interstates and parkways and major thoroughfares. If someone becomes stranded, we'll be out patrolling and look for those. But they may have a possibility that there is one we may not see, or we may not have personnel there at that time. But I ask that our motorists on the roadway, if you see someone that may be stranded, call and contact KSP at 1-800-222-5555. Again, like I say, thank you, stay safe, and the common theme is please be prepared. Thank you. Now I'd like to introduce Adjutant General, Kentucky National Guard, Hal Lambert.
Thank you, Commissioner. I appreciate it. So we've all just now witnessed the governor signing the declaration of emergency. And what that enables us to do in the Guard in particular is go ahead and start to stand up our forces. In particular, just last night, we sent out a warning order or an alert to the entire Kentucky National Guard force structure. So all of our units have been alerted at this junction. Literally, as we speak at this time, we've got individuals who are being identified to serve as part of our readiness teams, if you will. I'll go into that in a moment. But also at this time, we've already been coordinating, as it's been alluded to our state partners and Department of Transportation and Emergency Management and the Kentucky State Police, additionally the Department of Fish and Wildlife, and I'd offer even the Finance Cabinet plays a significant role with this response as well. The readiness teams that I just referred to you, we're standing them up in 5 key counties right now. That's Jefferson and Madison and Hardin and Muhlenberg and McCracken County. And the reason those 5 were chosen because of the location, quite simply, of our units, but also relative to their proximity along the interstates and key crossroads across the Commonwealth. Virtually every mile of our Kentucky interstate system has a Kentucky National Guard assigned to it. And so virtually everything east to west, north to south is addressed and covered at this junction. Of the folks that we're standing up in our readiness teams, these readiness teams, as I refer to them, it consists not only of the soldiers, but a military tow truck or wrecker, also a Humvee, a high mobility multi-wheeled vehicle, which is a high axled vehicle that's capable of transporting and quite simply crossing some of the hazards that we're going to face on our roadway systems out there. Our JOC, our Joint Operations Center, it is stood up now. It'll be fully operational all day tomorrow into Thursday evening, into the early morning hours on Friday, and quite simply, as long as we continue to see the necessity of having them operational. They work very closely with the Emergency Operations Center out of Emergency Management. So it's a well integrated dynamic there. The continuance of the storm, the continuance of the responsiveness across all of state government, quite simply, we will be there and evolve or offer a measured response for whatever the need may be of the Kentucky National Guard, your National Guard. We've got 8,400 members, whether it's soldiers or airmen or civilians, that are prepared to respond to whatever the state needs at this junction. And quite simply, I would offer across the entire state response at this junction, whether it's the men and women out of the Department of Transportation, Emergency Management, our state troopers, the soldiers, the airmen out of the National Guard. This is what our folks sign up for. You know, they generally sign up to serve their communities and be responsive in the communities in event of an incident like this. So I know even as we're going into a Christmas holiday weekend, this is what our folks collectively aspire to do in serving our Commonwealth. That said, I'll turn it back over to the governor, but as everybody here has already mentioned, be safe, be cautious, and stay off the road, stay at home as you can.
All right.
Sir.
Thank you, General Lamberton. He advised me earlier that each of those National Guard teams should be in place by 10 a.m. Thursday morning, which will give plenty of time before that temperature change occurs. Where the National Guard is not close or closely located, they're coordinating both with the Kentucky State Police, Fish and Wildlife, and others to make sure we have significant resources to respond in every part of Kentucky. It's going to be really cold, dangerously cold. Cold enough to give people frostbite very quickly, cold enough to be dangerous for your animals. So take care of yourself, take care of each other, take care of your families. Beginning really in the evening of Thursday, don't travel unless you have to, and unless you're an essential employee. Stay safe. Again, I don't want to lose one person to this cold after losing so many to weather or natural disaster events over the past several years. Okay, we've got a number of journalists that are here with us, and I think one on the line. We'll start with Anna Latek.
Thank you, Governor. This question might be more directed towards Secretary Gray and Director Slinker. What is the contingency plan in case there is flash freezing on roadways? I know with temps, especially air temps dipping way below zero, that's a major concern. It's been a concern throughout the upper Midwest down into this region. Will our current road preparations be enough to handle that? Or is this going to be something that you guys are going to just have to assess, if it happens?
Well, I'll turn it over to them here in a second, but let me just say that transportation will do everything they can to make our roads safe. But understand that when temperatures get so low, it can make it challenging. And there are conditions where, regardless of the best efforts of the very best people who are up here, road conditions can be unsafe to travel. And we believe that people ought to plan on that potentially being the case. That's why we're asking everybody again, make sure you get to your destination for the Christmas weekend by mid-Thursday. Jim, you want to add anything?
Yeah. Actually, the governor said it really well. When you get to 20 degrees, then before we had calcium chloride, then the 20-degree marker was almost the denominator. Calcium chloride helps, takes it down. But when we're talking about these kinds of conditions, as you expressed, then it's really challenging for anything except being prepared and avoiding to drive. That's the real caution, and that's the real message that we're providing today.
Carolina?
More about the road conditions. So essentially, pre-treatment is really not an option in these conditions. Is that correct?
So pre-treatment will be possible in some parts of the state, but with the rain and the wintry mix coming in, it won't be available in other parts. So depending on when that weather hits and where it hits in the state, which will make it more challenging if we get either significant accumulation of snow and getting it off, or that flash freeze. So these are, again, a mix of conditions from the rain and wintry mix to temperatures that somebody told me 1983 might have been the last time we had temperatures this cold. I was here in 1983. I don't remember that. But these are really, really challenging conditions. And again, do not assume that the roads will be safe during the worst part of this. We will do our very best, but we're up against some conditions that may simply not make it possible to have roads that we believe are safe to travel on. Tom?
Thanks, Governor. And 1989 was the worst one. That's when we had our coldest temperature ever in Shelbyville. And
All right.
on that day. So, in fact, it was like this time of year. It was like the 21st, 22nd, somewhere in that neck of the woods. So anyway, this is for the general, if I may.
Mhm.
you said there are 8,400 members now between air and ground, so to speak. How many do you actually anticipate having to head out?
Sure. Initially, as the governor just alluded to, by 10 o'clock tomorrow morning, of the 5 readiness teams that we're standing up, that's simply going to be 5 members per team, total of 25 folks there. The folks who are working out of our operations center, because that'll be a 24-hour dynamic. Basically, we've got about 50 people there total. And quite simply, everything beyond that is contingent upon what the necessity is, where is the incident or need going to be. And if I could, I'd also want to qualify, if anybody or any organization identifies a need, then the request should start with the local emergency manager and then filter up to KYEM, because quite simply they're best positioned to allocate whatever resources and wherever, and specifically what the incident might require.
Jim?
There was talk earlier about the preparedness out in eastern Kentucky being able to go and check in on propane tanks and make sure that stuff is filled. What's kind of the timeline for being able to get all that done before this happens?
We are working right now in the preparedness steps for those in travel trailers in the east and in the west. And just like in our initial response to the flooding, our goal is to overdo it. We want to make sure everybody has that full propane tank. We're going to check in on them a bunch. We're going to give everybody a handed flyer on who to call and how to call. We have resources in case we have to provide transportation to get those from travel trailers to a warming center. We're working with our local counties to identify if there is a closer warming center than one of those state parks. We want to make sure that transportation for them is there. That includes us looking at inventory from different equipment that counties might have to the 4-wheel drive vehicles that Kentucky State Police or Fish and Wildlife have. This isn't all in. We're very focused on those travel trailers and making sure that every single person in them is safe during this Arctic event. All right, did I miss anybody? All right, I think on the line, we've got Megan Mitchell. I think we have Megan Mitchell. All right, we will get her question answered. Folks, take this very seriously. Also realize that information will continue to change, but also become more certain as we get closer. We'll give our next weather update at the Team Kentucky update tomorrow at 12:30. It's also very likely that we'll have a Friday update as well that, again, we will live stream so that everybody can stay safe. For members of the media, it's going to be real cold out there. Feel free to do that virtually. We'll take all the questions that anybody has virtually on Friday if it is unsafe to travel. Everybody be careful. We love y'all. Let's stay safe.